Now, where have I seen you before? I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, yep, there it is, Meowscles, back for more. Kind of? Well, you guys quite literally asked for it, so today, we're drawing it. Don't skip through the video or you'll miss the really good bits that I drop throughout while I'm going on, and hit the like button because it really helps me to navigate that pesky algorithm. Subscribe to the channel to continue to learn to draw the fast and easy way. Let's go! So to start us off, let's begin with a circle for the head like we usually do. Nothing too new there. But this circle, we're going to make it ever so slightly wider than it is tall. Very, very subtle. But it's a bit wider this way than it is going this way. Just slightly. And then either side of this we're going to draw a little kind of flicky out, almost like a triangle shape on this side, and then on this side like that. To help you aim that, actually, it might be better to cut a line right down the middle of the head like that, and that's kind of like your line of symmetry. So you need one on this side and then one on this side because the head is tilted to one side. So speaking of the tilt, you need to add another little triangle up here and another little triangle up here. Don't make them too big because on kit the ears are not actually that big. Just going to stick a little triangle inside of each of those as well for the inner ear. Now Kit's eyes are really, really low down the head. I'm going to show you just how low. I'm going to cut this in half again, just like that, across this sort of midpoint, and the eyes sit with the very, very tops of them kind of on that line, just kind of resting there, okay? Now the fur pattern going down the middle of Kit's head starts to diverge into a white pattern here. So I'm just going to kind of etch that out. Okay, about there, and then underneath, tiny little smile like that. Very silly little smile, really. And that's it. There's no nose, there's nothing like that. And then once you've done that, once you've done the head, we can start adding in the features of the body. So I like to draw the silhouette of the body, which means the kind of general outline of it. So we're going to draw this big kind of... I don't really know how to describe this shape. I guess it looks a little bit like a sandbag that's a bit heavier at the bottom. But that's overall the shape you're kind of going for here, because we've got one arm that comes up over here. I'm just going to draw in a little line just to represent that for now, and another line that goes about here. And at the end of each of these I'm going to add a small blob. That's all it's going to be for now, just to represent where the paws are. So that one's just kind of like pointing slightly more towards us than this one is, so that's why this one kind of starts with the middle of the oval kind of resting on the end of this line here, but this one looks like it's kind of falling off the edge of that line. But we'll get into that in a minute. We'll do the paws last, or at least the hands, so to speak. So this part of the body needs to be divided into hind legs, so I'm just going to gently draw the shape of his body here. If you look at the actual picture of Kit, you can see what I'm doing now. I'm just kind of dividing, so that's where his hind legs are, or where his thighs are, I guess. And then we've got one foot that's kind of raised like this. I'm going to draw the front of the foot like this, almost like a triangle, right? And then it comes back and rests there against the bottom of the body. And then this one, we actually can't really see it in the original artwork because it's hidden behind the handlebars of the machine, the kind of mech that Kit is stood on. But that's okay, we're actually going to improvise a little bit here. So keep in mind how big this foot is. We're going to try and replicate that on this side. So I'm going to have Kit kind of stood up now on his own, rather than actually being stood on a mech for this one, but I will draw the mech in a separate tutorial if you guys want me to. Absolutely, I'll do that. Just let me know in the comments down below. So I'm just going to edit this into 4 little digits and then a small dot at the bottoms of those to represent the kind of the pads of those paws there. You can even add another one there because there is supposed to be one there on a cat. And now we've got the kind of basic shapes down. I think a good time to work on these arms is now. So you can come up from this dividing line here and then basically follow the shape of the arm around until you get to the wrist, and it kind of pinches off a bit at the wrist. It goes very thin at the wrist. That's a tip you can take anywhere with you, is generally the wrist of an arm is way more narrow than other parts of the arm. So here again, I'm going to draw it quite wide for what is essentially the bicep and the forearm, and then bring it really quite in for that wrist leading to the paw. Now speaking of the paw, we can transform this into 1, 2, and 3 digits just kind of resting on top of each other there because of the perspective. Okay, so that oval was only there to tell me that that paw was actually there. It was to help me kind of plan out the skeleton of the character, and then I added the details over the top of it afterwards. That's something I do basically all the time when I'm drawing characters. So this paw, again, more of the same. I'm going to draw one that comes down, a second one next to it, a third one next to that, and a last one next to that. Don't worry about going outside of that guideline. That guideline is just there as a locator. It's just there to tell us that the paw exists, and that's where the paw is going to go. But you can use it as an overall measure of the shape of the paw. But if a finger goes off the edge, it's not the end of the world. If anything, that's very normal. And now let's not forget the tail. We've got this kind of, I almost called it like an umbrella handle shape. I never really know what to call some of these shapes because some of them don't quite frankly look like anything. But you want to just kind of draw this line coming out to the side, hooking up and over like that. Okay, now this is where I'm going to fix some of my anatomy a little bit and clean it up just for the sake of your viewership, I guess. So I'm going to get rid of some of these guidelines. You might want to do the same when you ink your drawing over it with a pen, for example. I'm going to just tidy this up now, just so you can see a little bit better what I've done. Okay, so I'm going to draw back in that fur pattern there, so it's a bit more obvious in the eye. I raised a bit too much of the eye there. I'm also going to colour the eyes in so they don't look like empty voids. That's definitely not what we're going for on this character. So my big concern here is just kind of fixing the body, making it look a bit more, I guess, organic, like real. And the way to do that is to, I guess, ignore my guidelines to an extent and then fix the anatomy after all the shapes are kind of down. So as you can see, that was the guideline, but I wasn't happy with how far out that was going, so I just drew another line inside to slim him down and create a kind of impression of where this leg begins. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm actually going to bring this in a little bit and then pronounce this thigh, for want of a better word, it's just a hind leg really, a little bit more. Now, we did have to improvise down here, but I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out. It's just a nice flat foot, so the character actually looks like he's stood there in his own right, just kind of partying or whatever he's doing. This pose is very playful. And at this point you can add, little bits of the fur pattern here. He's got some stripes on his shoulders, I think, and there's another kind of marking here on his arm, a little bit at the end of his tail here as well. But a lot of the cleanup can come when we go over it with our pens, or whatever you use to actually finalize your drawings. I'm going to use my software, which is called Paint Tool Sci. I'm going to go over it right now and get it all refined and polished. So I'll see you in just a moment. So how'd you do? I bet you absolutely smashed that. Leave a comment letting me know what you'd like me to draw next time. Don't forget that you can now also join my Draw Cartoons Discord channel, link in the description below by the way, to share your artwork, get some feedback, and talk to the growing community. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more great tutorials just like this one. Until next time.